tujenge.
Yes, peace and love, wonderful Kenyan Podcast family. I do hope that you're doing fantastic, and I thank you so much for joining us on yet another beautiful episode where we get to show you a different side of this coin that we call the 254. Remember, this is the number one trending and topical issues podcast in the 254, and we always invite your engagement on our different social media platforms. We are on X. You can find us on Kenyan Podcast _. You can also find us on Facebook, the Kenyan Podcast, as well as on IG and Threads. We really love to hear from you and get to engage on different issues that are discussed or are spotlighted on this particular platform. And of course, today is no different. We shall be focusing on some of the topical matters or the topical issues that have to do with us in this particular time as a Kenyan, right here in the 254 or even in the diaspora. And now I'm talking about the preparedness for the elections going into 2027. Actually, I would say that the IEBC is actually doing the most right now because they have actually gazetted and they have put out key dates. They have actually gazetted the election 2027 election period, and they have unveiled key election timelines for aspirants and also for the campaigns. And this was led by the chairperson of the IEBC. His name is Erastus Ethekon. And of course, these are very important dates, because if you look at how prepared we ought to be very prepared. And he said the commission is projected that the 2027 register will contain approximately 28.5 million voters. So if you're looking at the total number of people that are, that he's projecting will be on this particular list, he talked about 28.5 million voters, which is he compared to the 22.1 million registered voters in the last election in 2022. And of course, as of August 20th, the commission said that 2,936,516,000 people had registered as voters per August 20th. And if you look at where we are heading right now, people are actually very eager and they are looking forward to see how the IEBC will actually conduct itself and how they will conduct the whole affair when it comes to next year. And it is important to realize that for anyone who is any public officer who is intending to vie for an elective position, according to the rules of the IEBC, one must resign from public office by Wednesday, February 10th, 2027. So if you're actually a public servant and you want to contest for the elections next year, then you have to vacate or you have to resign from a public office by Wednesday, February 10th, 2027. And he also said, according to this particular gazetted information, political parties have been given until October 15th this year to submit the names of the authorized persons and specimen signatures to the IEBC. So if you look at the political parties right now, it seems like every other day we are hearing about another new political party doing or actually bringing people on board. We do have, for example, the DCP. We do have the Jubilee Party. We do have the UDA. We do have the ODM. All these different political outfits, they are given until 15th of October this year to submit the names of the authorized persons. And by October 30th, the parties must have their nomination rules certified by the Register of Political Parties, and certified rules must be submitted to the Commission by November 6th. This same year, political parties will then be required to submit their membership list to the IEBC by Tuesday, March 16th next year. And on the same date, parties must submit the names of candidates seeking to contest their internal party primaries, together with dates and the venues of these primaries. So next year, there will be a whole lot of flurry, political flurry, political activity flurry. And if you look at, different parties, I do hope that they get their act together by these particular dates. When we talk about the independent candidates, and I do believe these next year there will be so many independent candidates will be required to comply with the May 8th deadline And the law requires them to demonstrate that they are not members of any registered political party, and they ought to submit their names and symbols to the IEBC by that date. We are talking about May 8th. For anyone who is intending to contest on an independent basis, then you have until May 8th next year to actually demonstrate that you're not a member of any registered political party, and submit your name and symbols to the IEBC that by that particular date. For the presidential aspirants, they will face an additional requirement, with each required to submit to the commission by May 24th a list containing the names, signatures, the national identity card, or a valid passport numbers of at least 2,000 registered voters in a majority of Kenya's counties. So for the presidential aspirants, they have more work to do. The candidate registration exercise will then run from May 29th to June 11th, with the exact dates varying according to the elective positions. We're talking about the women rep, the member of county assembly, we're talking about the member of parliament, the senators, the governors, and different cadres. So the presidential candidates will be registered between May 29th and June 11th, while the National Assembly candidates will undergo registration between May 29th and June 1st. And now we have different dates for the senators, and of course these will be on May 29th and June 2nd. The governors will be June 3rd and June 6th. The MCAs, the county assembly members, will be between June 2nd and June 11th. The county women representative will be between June 7th and June 11th. And you can, this is actually gazetted information, and you can find it and simply go through it, because it is very, very important that you get to find out what is going on and what are these important dates that the IEBC has set apart. I would love to say that it shows a level of preparedness and seriousness that is required with such an important task that is placed upon them. And therefore, we hope to see everything, moving on smoothly, and actually the whip being cracked on people who are actually flaunting these particular rules. It is very, very important that also that gets to happen within the framework and the policies that have been set by the IEBC, guided by the Constitution itself. Nonetheless, this is a Kenyan Podcast, the number one trending and topical issues podcast, and talking about parties and talking about the preparedness for next year. We have one of the most what can I say? I would like an underdog when it comes to politics right now, and I'm talking about the Safina Party. And for the Safina Party, they happen to have one of the most intelligent minds when it comes to matters of politics. And I'm talking about the one and only Willis Evans Otieno. Willis Evans Otieno actually happens to be, according to his profile, he has actually labeled himself as the deputy president designate for the Safina Party, which is led by Jimmy Wanjigi. And this gentleman is a gentleman that I do get to love to listen to when I get the opportunity to. But Mr. Willis Evans Otieno, who is of the Safina Party, he and his party, and I think also I believe other individuals were involved in terms of getting to look into the Constitution once again and asking about the validity of the dates that have been set by the IEBC. And because he was questioning, and he said he actually challenged the IEBC and anyone else to show where the court held that the next general election must be held on 10th of August. There was a question about the dates of the next general election. And this case, of course, was taken to court, and one of the judges in court in the coastal region did make the pronouncement, and they said there is nowhere on the Constitution where it is written that the next election must be held on 10th of August 2027. There is no such place on the Constitution. So therefore, but of course also the judge noted that even the date, the actual date when the election was supposed to be held was actually on 8th of August this year. 12th of August this year. But of course, there was a confusion because the IEBC is not ready, and the interpretation of the constitution is also open, and therefore he actually decided to actually just hold off and until the IEBC is actually better organized. But Mr. Willis Evans Otieno is actually also a very, very intelligent gentleman. And he was also questioning about the issue of the payment of the MPs, the members of parliament. Because if you look at a country such as ours that is riddled with public debt and is riddled with debt at a very, very high level, he was questioning about the whole matter of how the MPs are actually paid. And if you look at it, you can realize that our country, we do have the MPs being paid, a very, very big amount, and you look at also the accountability, and you will realize that most of these particular MPs, they have not played their role very, very well. And he did write an open letter to them, to the members of a parliament, and he was talking about this payment. You get about close to 800,000 shillings every month in a country where the situation with debt is crazy. And he was saying, show me another third world country where legislators earn 700,039 shillings a month, yet produce so little that parliament has effectively become an expensive waiting lounge. Ordinary Kenyans are being bled dry through punitive tactics to just finance the lifestyles of people who behave like minor gods in collapsing the economy. We are paying a Scandinavian level salary for Congolese level government kills. Hospitals are underfunded, doctors are unemployed, schools are struggling, the nation debt keeps rising, taxes are multiplying, but parliament remains one of the most protected welfare schemes for Kenyan political class. The math is just bad. The math is not just bad, it is immoral. A struggling country cannot keep taxing its citizens into poverty just to maintain a political elite in luxury. So this is the opinion of Willis. This is the opinion of Mr. Willis Evans Otieno. And I could not agree more with whatever he was just saying, because if you look at our country right now, with the whole situation, also with, let me not even get into the conversation about corruption, but if you just look at the level of wastage, and also the size of government, this is also something else that had been proposed by Eric Omondi. Eric Omondi did say that he is actually suggesting that on the ballot next year, there be placed a referendum question on reducing the size of the government. We are talking about the MCAs, the women rep, the governor, the MP, the senator. Kenyans are actually overrepresented. That was his thinking. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you believe that the MPs in our country are actually overpaid? That is my question. And if you look at also the structure of how, we have the Constitution, the Constitution Development Fund, and other things like that, what can be done according to you to reduce the wastage in government? And also the size. Is there a need to reduce the size of government? Because that is a question for you today right here on the Kenyan Podcast. And I would really, really love to hear from you regarding that particular matter. And also regarding on the preparedness of the IEBC, do you think the IEBC is well prepared? There is a question of a preparedness, and there is also the question of a funding. Funding is also crazy, because if you look at the cost of our elections in Kenya, they are some of the most expensive in the world. And I told you the size of all those people involved, the MCAs, all everything, the president, the governors, it's a whole lot. But yes, we have one of the most expensive systems of elections anywhere in the world, and that is also going to cost us a whole lot and bleed us a whole lot of money that we actually do not have as a country right now. But these conversations have to be had, and that is why we do have the Kenyan Podcast, the number one trending and topical issues podcast in the 254. So want to thank you so much. Keep interacting with us. If you want to write us an email, you can reach out kenyanpodcast@gmail.com, and we are always happy to hear from you and also engage with you on different matters in the quest for a better country in the quest of actually having a new dawn for this republic that we all have. Because Kenya is our home, and Kenya is actually our business. That is one of the echo in one of the leaders in this country. And I'm talking about Ndindi Nyoro. Ndindi Nyoro, he did have a press conference recently, and he declared his interest in being in the opposition, and also he actually made known that he's also going for the presidency. I don't know what you think about that, but nonetheless, Kenya is our business, and our business is Kenya. And that is why we do have the Kenyan Podcast, the number one trending and topical issues podcast. Till next time, much peace and love. I want to wish you a happy and a productive rest of the day. Stay safe, stay Kenyan all the time. Just like Mr. Jeff Koinange would say, all Kenyan all the time. Till next time, peace out. Take care of yourselves.
Kitalalia, watu wasimama. Kwenye kona ya soko, habari ya pita. Muuza chai asema, jirani akaita. Subiri kidogo, usikimbie mbali. Kuna siku mpya inakuja nchini. Tulicheka jana, tukasema ni maneno.